The ocean always looks calm from the surface. For diver Mia, her first solo dive into the Mariana Trench seemed routine. She checked her gear, took a deep breath, and submerged. The world above disappeared in an instant, replaced by the crushing black of the abyss. At first, it was peaceful. Fish darted past her light beam, and the bubbles from her tank rose slowly. But as she descended deeper, a faint glow appeared below. It wasn't bioluminescence she had ever seen. Curious, she swam toward it. Minutes felt like hours. As she approached, the glow took shape. It was a structure, massive, made of smooth stone, and covered in strange, shifting patterns. She tried calling in via comms, but only static answered. Then she heard it, a soft whisper in her headset. "Mia, don't look down." She spun, trying to locate the source. There was nothing, just the dark, the water pressing in, and her own rapid heartbeat. She recorded everything on her GoPro, trying to stay calm. Something moved behind the structure, just at the edge of her flashlight. She glimpsed what looked like a humanoid figure, impossible to distinguish, drifting silently in the black. Panic set in. She knew she had to ascend, but something tugged at her fins. The water felt thicker here, heavier, as if the ocean itself didn't want her to leave. With one final effort, she kicked toward the surface. The whispers faded, but the glowing structure lingered in her vision. When she surfaced, the boat's crew asked if she had seen anything unusual. Mia shook her head, unsure if she had imagined it, or if the abyss had really been watching her. After the terrifying dive, Mia couldn't shake the image of that glowing structure, but curiosity gnawed at her. She contacted her friend and fellow diver, Jordan, who was experienced in cave diving. He warned her, "Once you see the deep, it stays with you." But Mia felt she needed answers. They planned a dive in a deep underwater cave system known for strange currents and unexplored chambers. Mia's GoPro and Jordan's dive cameras were rolling from the start. The descent was eerily silent, except for the hiss of their tanks. As they entered the cave, the walls glistened wetly under their lights. The tunnels twisted and narrowed, and then the radio in Jordan's helmet crackled. "Mia, do not follow." Both froze. It sounded like someone speaking, but their comms were only set to each other. Jordan joked nervously, "Echoes in the cave, right?" But Mia felt dread pressing down like the water above them. They pressed deeper. Shadows shifted along the walls, too quick, too smooth, too deliberate. Mia's light caught glimpses of what looked like symbols carved into the rock, alien, undecipherable. Something moved behind a narrow tunnel, a shape that wasn't fish, not human. Then Jordan screamed. His comms went silent. Mia spun, heart hammering, seeing only darkness and the faint glow ahead. The lights on his helmet flickered and went out. She tried calling him, but the cave swallowed her voice. The glow was growing stronger, as if it wanted her to come closer. Against every instinct, she swam forward. Her GoPro caught a brief glimpse, hundreds of tiny eyes reflecting her light, all staring from the shadows. The whispers returned. "We are waiting forever." Panic surged. She turned, searching for Jordan, but he was gone. Alone, she fought the strong current pushing her toward the glowing chamber. Something brushed against her fin, slim, cold, unearthly. She felt it try to pull her toward the structure. Her tank alarm blared. She kicked upward with everything she had. When she finally surfaced, she gasped for air. Jordan was on the boat, alive but pale, silent. He later refused to talk about what happened in the cave. Mia kept the footage secret. Too many things were unexplainable. But the whispers stayed in her mind, haunting her every dive afterward. Mia couldn't stop thinking about the cave. Every dive since had been haunted by that glowing structure, the whispers, and the eyes. Jordan refused to go back, but Mia felt she couldn't ignore it. Something in the deep was calling her, something unnatural. She booked a solo dive trip off the coast of Florida, in a region known for its underwater sinkholes and blue holes. These caverns were deep, cold, and silent, perfect for someone who wanted to find answers. As she descended into the abyss, the sunlight vanished completely. The water pressure felt like it was pressing the air out of her lungs. Her flashlight barely pierced the dark, and the GoPro caught flashes of shapes moving just beyond the beam. Suddenly, her comms crackled again, but it wasn't Jordan. A distorted voice whispered, "Why do you come back?" Mia froze. The voice was neither male nor female, human nor machine. Her heart raced. She tried to back up, but the current in the sinkhole was pulling her deeper. Panic clawed at her mind. As she reached a narrow chamber, the glow appeared again. This time, it wasn't just faint, it was blinding. Mia's eyes watered as the GoPro captured a massive structure, an underwater monolith covered in coral-like growths that seemed to writhe. Symbols etched into its surface pulsed faintly, like breathing. She tried to swim away, but something grabbed her leg. Tentacle-like appendages, slick and cold, wrapped around her fin. She kicked furiously. The structure seemed to react, growing brighter as if feeding on her fear. Mia realized the whispers weren't just audio, they were in her mind now. Thoughts that weren't hers, memories she never had, places she never visited. The voice repeated, "Stay forever. Join us." Terrified, she activated her emergency flotation device, ascending as fast as she could. The tentacles released, vanishing into the shadows. When she broke the surface, gasping and shivering, the monolith wasn't visible. The water around her was calm again, but the memory burned into her mind. Back on the boat, Mia checked the GoPro. The footage was distorted, faces appearing in the water, too fast to see clearly, but the eyes were everywhere. She knew she had to warn others. She posted online about the blue hole, but authorities dismissed her claims as exaggeration. Divers who went looking for it later returned shaken, with no footage to prove anything. Mia knew the truth. Some things under the water weren't meant to be found. And now the deep had a memory of her, waiting for the next dive. Mia couldn't sleep. Every night she dreamt of the glowing monolith, the whispers, and the tentacles that had nearly dragged her into the abyss. Her GoPro footage haunted her, replaying distorted faces and eyes she swore weren't human. Despite her fear, she felt drawn back. She couldn't explain it. An obsession, a curse, or some deep-sea force pulling her in. Mia booked another dive, this time with a small group of experienced cave divers in the Gulf of Mexico, hoping that others would see what she saw and validate her experience. As they descended, the water became colder, darker, almost viscous. The lead diver, Carlos, whispered through the comms, "Keep close, there's something off about this hole." Mia's flashlight caught shadows moving unnaturally. The water around them seemed to hum, a low, vibrating resonance that made her teeth chatter. She looked at Carlos, but his eyes were wide in terror. Something about this dive was different. Then they saw it, the monolith, bigger than any human structure could be, with writhing symbols glowing ominously. Mia's heart pounded as she remembered the tentacles, but this time the appendages were everywhere, hidden in the shadows, curling and stretching toward the divers. Her comms crackled. Not Carlos, not anyone. The same distorted, mind-penetrating voice. "Come closer. Join us. Forever." Mia tried to grab Carlos, warning him, but he froze. The water around him darkened, as if reality itself was being swallowed. The tentacles surged, wrapping around him. He struggled, eyes wide, and then vanished. Just gone. Panic gripped the rest of the team. One diver tried to ascend, but the current reversed, pulling him toward the monolith. Mia kicked and swam with all her strength, but it felt like the water had weight, like the ocean itself was alive, keeping her trapped. The whispers grew louder, merging into a chorus, memories, fears, and visions that weren't hers. She saw images of other divers lost in the abyss, their faces frozen in terror, mouths open in silent screams. Then she realized the monolith wasn't just a structure. It was a sentient entity. It observed, consumed, and remembered. And now it remembered her too. Mia's flashlight flickered. In that brief light, she saw dozens of faces pressed against the monolith, some human, some grotesque, all staring at her with glowing eyes. The tentacles surged again, this time toward her. She kicked, swam, screamed. Panic, fear, adrenaline, all pushed her to break free. She activated her emergency flotation device and shot upward like a missile. When she broke the surface, the boat was gone. Her team, gone. The water was calm, but the monolith's glow flickered faintly beneath her, like a heartbeat in the deep. Mia floated, shivering, knowing she had survived. But for how long? Somewhere deep in the gulf, the abyss waited, and Mia knew, with a bone-deep certainty, that it would call again.
Mia floated alone in the gulf, her flotation device barely keeping her head above water. The sun was starting to rise, casting an eerie orange glow over the calm sea. She wanted to scream, to call for help, but her voice caught in her throat. Every instinct told her to swim toward the distant shoreline, but something darker tugged at her mind. Memories of the monolith, the glowing faces and the tentacles haunted her like a fevered nightmare. She knew it wasn't over. Suddenly, she felt a cold brush along her leg. She kicked violently. Nothing. Another brush. Her GoPro, still strapped to her chest, started recording automatically, capturing ripples that seemed wrong. Shadows beneath the water moved too quickly, darting in ways no normal sea creature could. A low hum began, vibrating through the water and her bones. Mia clutched her chest, panic swelling. From beneath the waves, the monolith's glow pulsed once, then again, farther than she remembered it could reach. She realized it could extend its influence, its grasp, farther than the human eye could see. Desperate, she paddled toward the shore. The current fought her, pulling her back, slowing her progress. As she neared the edge of the gulf, her mind flickered between reality and hallucination. She saw her missing friends, Carlos, the others, floating near the monolith, their eyes glowing, mouths opening in silent screams. Her heart raced, and then she saw it, a massive shadow beneath her, stretching across the water like a black stain. Tentacles erupted from the depths, thrashing toward her. She kicked harder, chest burning, lungs screaming. A hand, no, 2 hands, shot out from beneath the waves. She grabbed, clung for dear life, and was pulled under. But instead of being dragged back to the monolith, she felt herself breaking through some invisible barrier. She surfaced violently, gasping. There was a small fishing boat, empty, bobbing near the shore. She crawled aboard, shaking uncontrollably. For a moment, the water seemed normal again, calm, ordinary, almost peaceful. Mia looked back. The sun reflected off the waves, but there was a faint shimmer in the distance, a subtle glow beneath the water. The monolith? Or something else? Her gut told her it wasn't finished. She reached the shore, collapsing on the sand. Her phone had service again. She called authorities, her voice shaking as she reported missing divers, but the Coast Guard found no trace, not the boat, not the monolith, not any sign of the horrors below. Mia tried to sleep that night. She couldn't. Every shadow, every reflection in the water, every whisper in the wind reminded her. The deep remembers, and somewhere, in the unseen depths, the monolith waited. She knew one thing for certain. She survived this encounter, but she was never going back, and she could feel it in her bones. The abyss had left a mark, the kind that doesn't heal.